Welcome to the 18th GSL International Model Car Championship. This year we've hosted builders from 6 foreign countries, 22 states, and 3 provinces of Canada. We have 383 models in competition from 143 builders. We are delighted to host these people whose work represents the best available in the scaled vehicle hobby today. At GSL-XVIII, we've also had seminars from noted builders across the country, presentations from the National Model Car Builders Museum, discussions of how to build better models, machining techniques, photo etch techniques, and other informational sessions. We also have hosted tours of the museum and other things.
Which one? Oh, I don't know.
Hi, my name's Pat Bebo. I'm from Calgary, Alberta, and I've been coming to Salt Lake since 1990. And without question, it's the Super Bowl of model car contests. Basically, the models get you down here, but the people keep you coming back. A fantastic group of people, a lot of whom have become good friends, who I correspond with regularly. It's just an event that a modeler, a car modeler specifically, shouldn't miss. Whether you have the skills or not to get in doesn't matter. The models speak for themselves. They're way up there in the stratosphere, and it's a treat just to come down, just to look at the models, and take a bunch of pictures and spend time with your friends. And I guess anybody can come down here and place or win or do anything like that has got to be pretty happy. If you can place here or win, you've got to consider yourself one of the top, one of the better modelers in North America. I don't envy Mark Gustafson and Bob Wick and Pat Covert, because they've got a job that is just awesome, very, very difficult to do. In most contests, no matter where you are, you can take 12 models in a category and discount 7 or 8 of them right off the bat, just like that, and work hard on the other 5 or 6, but you can't do that here. Because if you've got 12 models in a category, the chances are 11 or 12 are very good. So, and I know they'll start at 6 o'clock tomorrow night, and they'll probably go till early morning before they get it all done. The level of skill here is, you have to actually see it to believe it, because I'm sure it's in the high 90% of models that are here that are just very, very well done.
Hi, I'm Gsl-Xviii. I live in Miami, Florida. I've been building models since I was 7 years old. Not good, but after a while, the more you do, the better you get. So after 60 years, I've retired from competition, but I still love to build models. Since 1989, I've been coming to GSL. Well, this is 2001, so now what I continue to do is pass on what I've learned all these years of modeling to the other modelers, anything they'd like to know, so they can have as much fun as what I've had.
Okay, Augie, I have something for you. Kirk Bell and I have been talking, and with the recent success of Car Modeler 2001, we decided that because you have such a presence in there, next year it's going to be sort of a different publication. And we've revised the masthead, and we've revised some of the copy to reflect the new look of the publication. So I'm going to, here, could you? Okay. I want to present to you the first look at this new look publication. So, for you,
Oh, geez.
I have this.
Fantastic.
This is going to be the new publication.
I don't know what to say, but that is fantastic.
So,
Roger, thanks. And you know, thanks to Kirk Bell, and
Yeah.
thanks to the hobby. I mean, thanks to all the nice people. The best people you ever want to meet are in our hobby. And all I can say is just thanks a lot. Thanks, Roger, and
great.
thanks, Kirk, wherever you are.
Okay, my honor to know you and to be around you and build with you, compete against you.
Well,
lose to you.
You never lose, because everybody I deal with at this show is a winner, and I can't say anything but good things about the people that do come. And thank my wife, because she's always the beautiful person behind this.
And my wife.
And your wife, and the many wives that are, smile, hon.
And all the other wives.
You-
All wives named Carol.
There you go, because Roger's wife's name is Carol too. So we have a couple of Carols involved with this.
Right.
Thank you very much, and it's a real pleasure and an honor, and thank you very much.
Like many of the people of my age, we grew up when the plastic modeling hobby was in its heyday, and loved doing it. And I think the 60s came around and changed everything, and we basically changed our focus as far as hobbies and interests, and only lately, I would say in the past 15 years, has there been a resurgence in the hobby. Now you have many, besides the large kit makers, many cottage industries that are feeding the hobby products.
These are pretty serious.
These are hardcore enthusiasts, and like any field, you have your core group of participants who are operating in a very rarefied kind of air, but these are them, the people you see here. And so really the GSL event is kind of the Super Bowl of model car building. And so you will see the best builders here, and probably some of the best people as well. We spend anywhere from, say, a couple of weeks to build something to, well, to give you an example, the last winner of our local contest in Honolulu won with a Volkswagen he had been working on for 10 years. Now, this is not 10 years straight, but many of these projects do protract themselves and end up taking years to complete. Those are the so-called hero projects, and you will see many of them in this room. You know, the approach to plastic modeling is, I guess it can accommodate a variety of personalities, and some people like to have their models finished, and they do it as a relaxation. Other people are more competitive, and they need to go to great lengths in order to complete something, and they do. My last project, which was completed at the last GSL 2 years ago, took all of the 2 years that I had to complete. So therefore I put my marriage in peril as well as my business. So therefore I agreed to a moratorium on this building, and have just brought a few club projects that we have done over the time. Sorry?
Why do you like to do it?
Why do I like to do it? Well, part of me likes to win. Part of me loves motorsport. I'm a great motorsports fan, and it's a way of vicariously participating in the motorsports profession without actually having to sacrifice much to do it. It really is an international hobby, and it binds itself into a community. Now with the internet, it has made it a little more easy to remain a community.
On the speedometer, it has the mileage of.
So it has an odometer reading?
Yeah. Actually, I believe the mileage of the car is actually the date that the gauges were designed.
Does this have like a enamel or lacquer finish?
It's a lacquer finish.
So this is.
Take that again. It looks like it's sitting in there real good.
Yeah.
That's the little groove it was in before.
I'm Marshall King. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, and this is my first GSL. Been inspired by past magazines and the cars that I've seen come out of this so many times that I've always wanted to make this trip out here. So some friends and I came out, and so here we are. And I've got a few cars that I brought with me, and it's been great to see all the people, meet all the great model builders that I've seen in the magazines in the past, and the tricks that I've already learned. I can't wait to really kind of get started on another car. These two here are in the street rod class, and they're pretty much built by, the one is all aftermarket. This is an all aftermarket car, and this one is one that incorporates machining. It was inspired actually by Fred Warren's Shockwave car, which is pretty much the same color. I tried to duplicate it, but it has working front and rear suspension with the Hydit style Jaguar rear suspension. The wheels are naturally machined, torque thrust type. It's 18 months in the building. Most of the cars seem like they take a year to 18 months to build anymore. So I have to live to be 1,000, I guess, to get the kits I've got built. There's really some great work here. Some unbelievable work, as a matter of fact.
Aftermarket. Oh, R&B, okay. I thought that was R&B front and back. Yeah. Boy, they make a nice product, don't they? Yeah.
Well, I do have something down on the project.
Makes everybody look like Augie Hiscano.
Hello, my name is Greg Nichols. I come from Connecticut. I belong to the Town of Newburgh Model Car Club. This little VW here was 14 months of real pleasure. It started out as a club project where everyone in the club would get a VW Bug Tamiya kit to build as they wished. I enjoyed building race cars and thought, well, what would happen if Volkswagen went to Le Mans? And this is what I came up with. It's basically made out of two kits, the Tamiya New Beetle and a Tamiya NSX model. The rear clip is from a Porsche GT1. Most of the chassis came from the NSX kit with a lot of detail parts that I added to it. The car's been to many shows all over the country, thanks to Greg Hutchins from Model Car Magazine. And it's about to be retired. It's going to find a nice comfy place in my house and probably collect dust for a few years.
Yeah, I'm Jim Devine. I belong to the Town of Newburgh Model Car Club, and I live in Bethlehem, Connecticut. The Volkswagen here was also built for the same common kit contest that Greg's GT Volkswagen was built for. Mine has a BMW 635i chassis that's been shortened to scale 13 inches to fit in the car, and I was very careful to make all the components fit, that if in fact you wanted to do this and had two cars you were willing to cut up, you could actually cut that chassis 13 inches and get it in there. Kind of a fun thing to do, but this was done, and I never would have even started this if it wasn't for our club project. Kind of give us something else to build.
My name's Pat Donovan. This is my first time to GSL. Been asked to tell how I did the rear tire on the latest motorcycle I did. And what I did is start out with a chunk of basswood that I picked up at the hobby shop, and it's started out 3 inch by 3 inch. Pick up the outside diameter, the inside diameter of what you're going to scale-wise. Hand carved it down. I don't have a little lathe or a mill, so it was all done by hand, but carved it down, hand sanded. And then for the tread, it was a matter of going back in and finding a tread pattern I liked. Hand drew it on the wood and then used Dremel bits to actually just gouge them out. and it worked out fairly easily. The one that's on the back of this bike took an hour and a half from start to finish, and that was from chunk of wood to 2 layers of black primer on it. And that's how I finished these off. It's just a couple of layers of Rust-Oleum black primer, and it gives you a rubber look. It works out pretty good.
I'm John Mahaffey, Memphis, Tennessee. This is my second time being at the Greater Salt Lake show. Yeah, this is a kind of a duplicate model that's in the museum that I built in about '84 as a car hauler, and I always wanted to duplicate it, but I didn't want to buy another Ford tilt cab. So I bought the '50 Chevy and got a Herb Deeks resin cast, but instead of using his resin cast, I extended the body myself and extended the frame, and I had a spare '56 Chevy, so I decided to make a gutter and a beater out of it. So it's on its way to the yard to be burnt, and I wanted to do this for this show, so it gives me 2 years to build a truck, and I kind of waited too long, so I built this within probably about a 3-4 month period. And I'm getting a little older, so I can't spend 8 months on a model now, so I gotta mass produce them if I want to get them out. And I've been building since 1958, like everybody else about my age, and got out of it in the '60s when you start dating girls, and then I went to Vietnam in the '60s, and then I really got back into it in the '80s when Scale Auto started coming back out again, and I entered the Scale Auto Model Truck Builder of the Year awards, and luckily I was able to win it twice in '82 and '83. So it's really been fun, and I enjoy doing it now more so because I'm not that competitive anymore, and I really don't put a lot of pressure on myself to win anything, so it's strictly fun.
Hello, I'm Jim Fernandez. I'm here at the Greater Salt Lake 18 Championship. This is my second Salt Lake Championship. I like building dioramas. Here's my diorama that I did this year. It's called Jim's Flying Circus, and it represents barnstorming. I like dioramas because they kind of explain something happening. A scene usually includes people, and I remembered seeing some old films of barnstorming where they used to jump from the car to the airplane. And so I made a model here of that very scene, where we have a 1/48 scale old 1931 Cadillac and a Jenny, which is a very popular barnstorming aircraft. And I depicted a scene where the gentleman is attempting to jump from a car to an airplane. Dioramas are sometimes time-consuming because you have to do people usually and a scene of something happening, and so it's more than just a static car.
Both of those things.
I'm Tom Kern. I'm from Rochester, New York. I spent all my working life as a mechanical designer for Eastman Kodak, and fell into this after I retired in 1990. I got the idea of doing this from a book I read of Gerald Wingrove. It was the model cars of Gerald Wingrove. And I had a lot of trouble believing they were actually models, and sure enough they were. And after a while I thought, if he can do it, I can do it. So I started out cold. It took 3 years to do the first experience. It was a Packard coupe and a Packard chassis. After they were finished, I came over here to the Duesenberg. I'd always loved Duesenberg. I'd always wanted a Duesenberg model. And so I built up 4 rolling chassis, one of which finished its life here is this car. Another of which is a display chassis. And the third is a chassis as it was delivered to the custom bodybuilder. The fourth one I'm still working on. And it will be the end of the line. It'll be a sedan, a very beautiful Duesenberg sedan that was used, that was built for the 1933 Chicago World's Fair, World's Exposition.
Good morning. My name is Dave Cummins. I am currently about 67 years old, but I've been modeling for about 50 years off and on, more lately in the last 12 years of my retirement. I'd spent about 34 years before that time designing cars in Chrysler styling and then working in engineering on human factors. In my retirement, I have always wanted to redesign and modernize classic automobiles that I have admired over the years, particularly Alfa Romeo and Bugatti. There have been others, of course, but these are the ones that I happen to be showing today. Back in the 30s, when these cars were originally designed, who knows what might have been overlooked? Who knows how many other variations might have been done? Those cars were designed, the classics I'm talking about now, were designed very quickly, and I always thought that it would be interesting to see what I might like to drive today, but still preserve all of the charm and the beauty and the ambiance of the classic cars that I still admire even today. I've gone to these functions such as Pebble Beach, the Monterey Historic Races, many restoration shops, museums in Europe, that sort of thing. So I have a good background on what it is that I think I'd like to do, and my models demonstrate the kind of things that can be done with some of the more advanced technology that we have today. For instance, there's no reason to have a flat piece of glass in an otherwise very curved body when we know now how to make compound curved glass. We didn't used to be able to do that. It had to be they had to resort to plastics that were full of distortion, and they were very inferior models back in the 30s and the 40s. What I have done particularly with this Bugatti that I'm showing today is to take the original Bugatti Atlantique, which was a fastback coupe, the Profile coupe, which had a very fast windshield, something like about 30 degrees of rake to it, and that was all, and combine those qualities with the Atalante coupe, which was a notchback coupe, but similar in many ways to the Atlantique. Combined all of these things along with my own intuitive sense of style, and designed a car to be mounted on a Type 57 SC Bugatti chassis. About 41 of these, or 42 of them, were built between 1936 and 1939 when the war came to Europe.
My name is Matthew Wells, and I'm a proprietor for Scale Motorsports. We've been in business now for 3.5 years. We have the most comprehensive line of composite fiber decals in the world, from 1/43 to 1/8 scale. We've got the only upholstery pattern decals in the world, and we have a new product called Faux Fabrics textured spray paint. We also have extensive photo etch sets for many of your Tamiya race car subjects, and super decal sets and super detail sets for those same Tamiya kits. This summer we're going to be doing a collaborative project with Tamiya, where we will be releasing a high detail set of their Porsche 956 product. Tamiya will be supplying Scale Motorsport with the plastic, and Scale Motorsport will be including an enormous amount of photo etch, turn metal details, and in the kit will be a photo research CD of the actual 1983 Le Mans Rothmans Porsche that won first place. And the CD will include hundreds of photographs of the actual car. It's the first time I've attended a GSL show, and it's great. Glad to be here.
You know, like, so that takes very little paint. When I'm doing this black, before I put the blue on it, I need a lot of paint. So that's where you would have changed needles and nozzles and all that. Well, with this you don't have to. Because I don't want very much. If I spray around that, all I'm going to get too much, you get runs or whatever.
This session is being presented by the National Model Car Builders Museum. As you know, we were formed in 1989 to gather together the most significant pieces of the model car hobby and to preserve them for not only ourselves, but for future generations. One of the key activities in the museum is the acquisition, wherever possible, of old vintage models and either keeping them in their original condition or having them restored by either the original builder or others on our staff. So therefore, we are asking for qualified builders to help us clone and replicate prior models. That means they have to be built exactly as they were built then, not with modern techniques and parts, but literally cloning them as they were originally presented. Please look at this. This is the first time this model has been seen since 1963 or so. It is painted, rubbed out. Most of the interior is in it. There is no chassis, no tires, and there was never an engine, despite what Jim told me once.
Well, there is.
Here's the model.
Oh, yes.
Picked up some dust.
Boy, does that bring back memories. Thank you. I'm very honored.
With that in mind, 1962 Revell Pactra Southeast Regional Paint winner. On behalf of the National Model Car Builders Museum and the GSL International Model Car Championship, we would like to present you, Royal, with a certificate in recognition of your significant contributions to the model car hobby and to the for hobbyists in general, and also to present to you a signed copy of our GSL book on the first 15 years of this championship, and express our great appreciation to you for all that you've done for all of us. Thank you for being here with us.
Royal has labored long in this business. She was one of the founders of the model car business itself, and it was very instrumental in bringing to us the products that we are using today and have been using for the last 45 years, for me anyway. Afterwards, he said, "There's someone I'd like you to meet." And he took me downstairs to Royal's office, and the rest is history. And she very coyly sat across her desk from me, and in less than 5 minutes after we talked, she asked if I would like to come to work for Revell. And of course, it was a dream come true, and I spent 5 years there.
I have the same opening line every time I speak to a group. My opening line is, how many of you, show of hands, have built models? He really, if it wasn't for Lou, I don't know, well, I wouldn't be here, and I don't know how many of you would be here today. We didn't sell model kits. You think we sold model kits, don't you? We really didn't sell model kits. What we really sold was a promise. It was a promise. They looked at the box, and there was a promise that they could build that. When they saw that picture, they saw that photograph, they saw that art. That was a promise. We sold a promise. Big Daddy was one of my most favorite people, and I know his spirit is here tonight. I loved the guy, and I was so looking forward to being with him here. And it was just so sad that he died just a couple of weeks ago. We had a lot of fun together, a lot of laughs. And with all of that, you know, those of you who knew him, he was a great genius. On the swastika, one day I got a letter at my office, and it came to the president and said, "Dear President of Revell, we are under the impression that you are the leader in the world, plastic models, and that you have swastikas, decals on all of your German aircraft. And we would ask you to cease and desist because We do not wish in any way to have swastikas that glorify the Third Reich. And it was signed by the Anti-Defamation League of America. And then it was read into the congressional record. Oh, I was on the spot. And then I thought about it, and I thought, okay, I really have a lot of power. And maybe that's what I love about this job. Partly, I hate to admit it, but power is great. And I'm going to use that power because since we are number one, everybody else follows us. I am making a royal rule, which is, from now on, no more swastikas. Well, we had a lot of German kits out there with swastikas in them. What we did was we cut them out. We had people with scissors that cut out the swastikas. We had black pens, and on the side panels we took it out. And Lloyd came up with a unauthentic insignia that was sort of a Maltese cross, whatever that is, and that's what went in. And I got to tell you guys, I felt so good about it. I really did. You know, not only did I hate the swastika, and part of that is because I am Jewish, but you don't have to be Jewish to hate the swastika. And I thought, you know, this was my calling. You don't know how wonderful it was. Then I went to Germany, and Heinz Georg, the Schlepper man, was so happy. He said, we didn't want the swastika, and our customers don't want the swastika. And I said, okay, you don't have it anymore. So it's gone. Came back home. I don't remember how much time elapsed, but enough time for those kids to get out. And another letter came addressed to the president, and it said, to the president of Revell, who do you think you are to try to change history? The Third Reich had an insignia of a swastika, and you call yourself authentic? You're not authentic. What the hell is this insignia? And then, of course, there was the dilemma. What would you do? It was tough. If you look in the catalogs I have over there, you'll see all the German Luftwaffe, no insignia show. But we put the swastika back in the decals in the box, but had the boxes redone again, so that the planes would be at a banking, or the ships would be going in a direction, so you couldn't really see the marking. So that way we kind of, you know, had to compromise. But when I went back to Germany, I said to Heinz Georg, you have to have the swastikas back. And he said, I won't put them back. I said, you have to put the swastikas back, because that's authentic. Well, here I am arguing with him at this point, put the swastikas back. Well, he didn't want to do it. So I went to our attorney. We have an attorney in Germany. And I said, I know the German law, West German law, that is, you cannot have a swastika that glorifies the Third Reich. But a swastika is allowed if it is educational and historical. And that's exactly what we are. And our attorney looked at me and he said, you are absolutely correct, but you will not find an attorney in West Germany who will defend that position. We don't want a swastika either. So it was just one of those dilemmas that I had, and hopefully it's a compromise. Bob Pate said something that really, really got to me. He said, we are so lucky that we were there during the golden age of modeling. You're absolutely right. We were there during the golden age of modeling. And what I'm so delighted about is that all of you are keeping that alive. Thank you very much.
One of the main activities at this 18th GSL International Model Car Championship has been a tour of the National Model Car Builders Museum, now located in Sandy, Utah. Founded in 1989, it now enjoys the support of hundreds of modelers and other interested parties from across the United States, all the provinces of Canada, Finland, Great Britain, Holland, France, Mexico, and Brazil. At the museum tour, roughly 250 people enjoyed nearly 10,000 items on display. There are hundreds of models on display representing the work of major builders from across the United States and some foreign countries. They also enjoyed a large library of historic magazines and other items of that nature, including some videotapes. In the main room in the back, there are hundreds of models needing repair and further restoration before they're put on display. All these builders enjoyed the entire experience and pledged their support later for the museum benefit auction, which will be held this evening while the judging goes on for the championship.
Yeah, I'm Don Emmons, and I've been doing this for a long time. Started in, the late 50s, early 60s. In 62, I started work for Rod and Custom doing models, the question and answer column, and then showing how-tos on building and restyling models. My whole thing was over the years that my models all have to look like real cars. I never got into that do your own thing, mainly hot rods. I still am into it. I don't build anymore, but I've done columns recently in Rod and Custom classic trucks on model and model building. I have a couple models in the museum here. This is the 41 Woolies that I built back in the mid-60s for a Rod and Custom article. And we have another model, it's in the other case over there, it's a 29 Model A Roadster that has opening doors, and the steering front tires are positionable where it doesn't steer from a steering wheel. But they're both in the museum here and have been here for quite a few years. And I was lucky enough to be voted into the Model Car Hall of Fame here. There's a plaque here on the wall. and I felt very fortunate that I was getting paid to do articles on something that I would have done for free. But, and I find it very hard to believe that some 35, 40 years later, people come up and, gee, I read all your articles. It was just a fun thing to do back in those days, and I enjoyed doing it, and I still enjoy looking at models and keep in touch with the hobby. But now I basically do just how-to and car events for Rod and Custom classic trucks, and some of the other real car truck magazines on car features, event coverage, how-tos on the real cars and trucks.
Hi, I'm John Mahaffey. I've got 3 customs down here. This is the first custom I ever did, about 1961, 62. And this is the one I did about 2-3 years ago. And this one here I did about a couple years ago. And I've got one in the
basically, other than that,
open Diorama.
Gone away. I have
real
all.
proud of.
Five, 10, 15, 20.
Come on, Van, I'll hold it up.
Bids 20. Anything beyond 20. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay, once, twice, sold, number 54, $41.
At the Museum Benefit Auction. I am particularly pleased and want to acknowledge publicly the out-of-town unnamed bidder who was ably represented in the auction last night by Paula Nagastopoulos and Calvin Crouch. It was their collective purpose to drive the bidding up because we had authority to go very high on that model. The out-of-town bidder, who was represented by these 2 gentlemen, called me on my cell phone and donated the model and the money to the museum.
But it's totally enthusiastic about the club's GSL outing. Let's join them as they get ready.
What happened to you?
I was juggling my X-Acto knives. Doctors say I'll be okay, but I think they put my thumbs back on upside down.
Well, just be careful handling the models. You know how clumsy you can be. Don't treat them like you treat our resin castings. He's getting so clumsy, we're going to have to farm the work out to South Korea.
You can still drive to Salt Lake, right?
As well as I ever could. Man, I'm pumped. We're going to kick some BUTT.
Well, I guess that takes care of the target NASCAR racing. So this year, we're going to do dragsters in the new class.
I'm stoked. We're going to kick ASPHELT.
So much for the Melrose Missile.
I'm cool.
We could take over a table and display so many entries on it that the judges would have to let us win.
But we'd have to build at least 24 championship quality models.
I
think
we
have
a
diorama.
Looks good, but will those judge guys like it?
We can't lose. You just hold your arms out. They're like staging lanes.
This will beat anything Roger Yu does this year.
Can't hear you.
We have. I want to express the pleasure that our club, the Metroplex Car Modelers Association, Dallas-Fort Worth area, has with being involved in this great event. At the moment, I'm going to be awarding the Klingon Cruiser Award, and honestly, before I came out here, I didn't truly understand it until I was at the museum yesterday and saw some of the previous winners, and I think you'll appreciate the one this year. Now, I'm going to say two words that have been combined into a name of a car that you probably will never hear again in your lifetime, but I have great pleasure in awarding this to the Merc Camino.
No way.
By Mark Havacon.
No way.
Scale Auto Enthusiast developed the Best Original Design Award in the early 90s, 91, 92, to recognize something that you all see out there every time you come to this show. All new customizing, all new design, all new concepts. And each year it's been a pretty tough award. I can't say that this year. The winner of this award really walked away with it. As he should. He was a Chrysler designer for, I believe, 18 years. 34 years? 18, 34. Whatever it takes. The winner is David Cummins for his...
Get your head up.
We started with Pasta Canali doing the Best Use of Color Award for the model that we feel has the best use of color as a design element that makes it really stand out, really grab your eye with using the right colors, making the two colors work, or one color. This year we'd like to award it to, I think his name, if I get it right, is Pace Gordon with his 37 Ford Sedan Delivery.
There's one guy here who was elected in the Hall of Fame. Builder extraordinaire. The nicest guy you'll ever meet in this hobby. Gsl-Xviii.
John Basic is presented the first place award for his 1957 Chrysler Corvette. The award is presented to something that in his detailed scope entranced the judges. Steve Hilby for his olive drab Renault pickup. Is presented to Bill Bosgan also for his 64. Seldom have we seen a model of greater quality than the first place winner, Mark Jones, for your yellow Caterham. First place this year is given to Dave Holmes for his red 1996 Budweiser Top Fuel Dragster. Greg Nichols won first with his blue 1977. And first place is presented to Alan Smirchek for his cream 59 Cadillac. And for a truly excellent work, Kurt Womack for his Isuzu. And the first place award is also presented to our good friend, Dave Cummins for his black Alpha Miller Coupe. To Dave also for his maroon dark red Alpha Miller Coupe. And the first place award is presented to him for his Phantom black Coupe. This year's junior class is presented to Chris Miller for his VW. And first place is also presented to Pat for his Candy Red Harley Davidson. Tom Curtis Rickey. The first place award is presented to the most able chassis I've seen, Tom Curry for your Duesenberg. The panel truck, Ron Butterfield. The award is given to Jace Jordan for his purple over green 37 Ford. First place goes to Jarvis Watson for his Rat Rock. Mr. Kern won the Gerald Wingrove Scratch Building Award, the Best Detail Award, the Best Interior Award, and Best of Show.
emotional, I'm deeply honored. I'm also a little prejudiced. I've looked at that Duesenberg for quite a while now. And you get used to it. You get used to looking at it, and it's become just a Duesenberg. Walking around the show, I was blown away by your paintwork, by your creativity, by your enthusiasm for the foot modeling. Congratulations to all of you. You're doing a great job, and keep at it.
Let me also clarify that the Dave Shuckless Memorial Engineering Award is presented to David Cummins for his black Bugatti coupe. may have run into Kurt this weekend. He's been omnipresent with his camera. He is producing for us a 1-hour video, a summary video of this year's